This video is brought to you by Dr. Kristen R. Bromley's Guitar Method Book Series and Online Music Academy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online academy. It's so great to have you joining me here in these online lessons. It's a Technique Tuesday. I love Technique Tuesdays. With this lesson, we're going to be building on what we did last Tuesday with the bar chords. So we're working on some tricks for learning and playing bar chords. So in the last lesson, I went over the most common shapes we use for playing bar chords, sort of explained some of the physical aspects of playing those. So if you haven't checked out that lesson, you may want to before you look at this one, or you can look at this one and then look at that one. In this one though, we're going to build on what we did in the last one, looking at how we know what chord we're actually playing along the neck when we take one of those shapes and position it somewhere along the fretboard. So let's just go ahead and dive in here. Now I do have up on the board the shapes that we used last week, so that they're up in review. We have our major shapes, minor and dominant seventh. We took our chords in first position, E, E minor, E7, and put the bar in front of them. We have an A minor, A7, put the bar in front of it. So now we're going to look at locating what tonality we're playing along the fretboard with a given shape. So to do that, so the main thing with being able to do bar chords along the fretboard, besides knowing the shapes, is knowing the notes on these bottom two strings along the fretboard. And so I've written up here a little diagram to help out. This is the low 6th string, and then the low, and then the 5th string. So the open E string, and then the A string there. So our E string and our A string. Let's go ahead and look at the E string. It helps if you understand the chromatic scale. I'm not going to specifically explain the chromatic scale here. There are Theory Thursday lessons that go through that though and can help you know the fretboard. If you really want to know the notes along the neck and you need help with that, check out those lessons on Theory Thursdays, starting with the beginning of that series, and you will find help with locating notes along the fretboard. But we have natural notes, and we have 5 of them. We know A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And when I said 5, that's really in relation to the chromatic notes that go in between. We have 7 natural notes, and they just progress through our alphabet. So we have the letter A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, each one of those natural notes. And I've written along here on these two strings where those natural notes are. So it helps with finding them to recognize that there are only 5 chromatic pitches. That's a sharp or a flat that fits in between. And there's 2 places where there is not a sharp or flat between 2 natural notes. One of those places is between E and F. So F is at the 1st fret of that 6th string. And the other place is between B and C. So here on the diagram you'll see between B and C, there's no fret in between those pitches. Between E and F, there's no fret in between those pitches. That can help because as long as we know what to start with down here on the 1st string, the 1st fret on the string, then we can find the pitches all along just by moving up alphabetically. So we have F. I skip over a fret to G. I skip over a fret. We start again with the alphabet with A. Skip over a fret to B. And then B and C don't have a chromatic pitch between, so I go to C, skip over a fret to D, skip over a fret to E. And once we get to that 12th fret, the one with the double dots for most of us, then things just start over. 13th fret is the same as the 1st fret, only we're 1 octave higher. You can learn all about octaves and all those things on Theory Thursdays as well. So if we can memorize where the natural notes are, we just go up. With the frets, it's really nice. Our natural notes on this low 6th string are 1, 3, 5, 7, those frets, and then 8, 10, 12. So our pivot point is between frets 7 and 8. So 1, 3, 5, 7, and then 8, 10, 12. If I can know where those natural notes are, and I just started over to get to that F there. If we can know where those natural notes are, then we can find any sharp version or flat version. The sharps are 1 fret higher and the flats are 1 fret lower. So F sharp is 1 fret higher than F natural. G sharp is 1 fret higher than G natural, so it's at the 4th fret. A sharp would be 1 fret higher than A, so it's at the 6th fret instead of the 5th fret. C sharp would be 1 fret higher, so we'd be at that 9th fret instead of the 8th fret. D sharp is 1 fret higher, 11th fret instead of the 10th fret. So we can find them. Flats work the opposite way, so if we have E at the 12th fret, E flat is going to be at the 11th. If we have a D at the 10th fret, D flat is going to be at the 9th. If we have B at the 7th, B flat is at the 6th. A at the 5th, A flat is at the 4th. G at the 3rd, G flat is at the 2nd. And you'll notice there's two names for these chromatic pitches, a sharp name and a flat name. They're known as enharmonic pitches. So if we can memorize where the natural notes are, or at least be able to think 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, and count up F, G, A, B, C, we can find whichever one we're looking for. The 5th string, it follows the same pattern with the natural notes and the chromatic notes and so on. But we have to start our natural note. We have the open string as A, so B is at the 2nd fret. So it's 2. And then we have 3, 5, 7 with C, D, and E. Our pivot point back to the even numbers there for the natural notes, 8. Fret 8 on the 5th string is F, G, and then A. So if I start on that second fret, I got B, and then I got C, D, and E, 3, 5, 7, and then 8, 10, 12. F, G, A. So down here on the 1st and 2nd fret are the only places where the natural notes are in different frets for these two strings. Otherwise, they're all at the 3rd, 5th, and 7th, 8th, 10th, and 12th frets, and that can really help. And you might just want to remember from the 3rd fret up. 3rd fret starts on G for the 6th string, 3rd fret starts on C for the 5th string, and then you just go up. Sharps and flats work the same. So C sharp is 1 fret higher than that C. So at the 4th fret instead of the 3rd, D sharp would be at the 6th fret instead of the 5th fret for D. And then F sharp at that 9th, G sharp at that 11th, or A flat, same thing, and then G flat being at the 9th there, and then we'd have E flat at the 6th, D flat at the 4th, and we've got our C. So once we know where these notes are, then we can start putting the shapes in front of them. So I've got a little progression here for the major chords that we can kind of look at working through. So we've got E flat, or B flat, E flat, B flat, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, B flat. I've got it right down there. And we just find these, uses 4 different chords. So when finding bar chords, if there's kind of 2 different ways that we end up using bar chords. One is down here in 1st position, intermixed with open position chords. And then we just kind of sometimes memorize those ones and how they work. So we a lot of times run into B minor down in 1st position, or F sharp minor, for example. We might run into C sharp 7 or something like that. So sometimes we run into those intermixed with our 1st position chords, our open position chords. We also play a lot of progressions where we're only using bar chords. And so in that case, usually what I do is find the first one somewhere towards the middle of the neck. Kind of gives us some room, because for the most part we're going to keep bar chords when we're playing all bar chords between frets about 3 and 10 as far as the bar goes, and occasionally we may go lower and occasionally we may go higher, but that's kind of the range that we usually play these in. So I'm going to find a B flat, and we have a B natural at the 7th fret, so B flat then would be at the 6th on that 6th string, and that's where my root's going to be. The next one is an E flat. Now, I could find an E flat on the 6th string. When the notes, the root notes, are not alphabetically adjacent, like B to C or A to B, most of the time the closest option is going to be on the next string. Sometimes they're kind of close if it's thirds and things, if the roots are a third apart. And if you want to learn about intervals, check out those Theory Thursday lessons. So in this case, B flat and E flat are not alphabetically adjacent. So the closest one's going to be on the next string, and that's sometimes what you can think through is just that thought, and then find the one on the opposite string. Or you can just find both of them, because there's going to be 2 options on each of these strings for each of the chords. You can find both of them and decide which one's closer, but usually we're going to choose the one that's closer. Sometimes it's a toss-up, sometimes we paint ourselves into a corner and need to make a big jump. But in this case, we have E flat in the same fret. Then we're back to B flat. So I just want to find the roots first. So I've got B flat, up to E flat, back to B flat. Then we've got the F. Now F and E flat are alphabetically adjacent, so you know it's going to be really close to the E flat chord. But if we looked on both strings, on the 6th string I have an F at the 1st fret, so that's going to mean a big jump as far as a big shift goes. But on the 5th string, it's at the 8th fret, so it's only 2 frets higher. So I'm going to play the one there at the 8th fret on that 5th string. So if we did the first half here, we've got B flat, 6th fret, 6th string, E flat, 6th fret, 5th string, B flat, 6th fret, 6th string, and then F, 8th fret, 5th string. And then as we continue, we're back to B flat and E flat. Now we've got A flat. We can look at both strings. We've got an A flat clear up at the 11th fret on the 5th string, or an A flat at the 4th fret on the 6th string. So the 4th fret's a little closer, so we can take that one. And we've got the A flat there at the 4th fret, and then we're back to B flat. So when learning bar chords, we don't want to overtax ourselves working on pushing down chords while we need to know where the root notes are. So sort of a little exercise you can do is just play the root note with the strumming pattern and mute the rest of the strings. Use your bar finger. This gets you used to putting that bar where the root goes. And so I've got my bar for the B flat, and then I'm going to go up to the E flat. Now when I'm doing E flat, I'm actually pushing it down, but then I'm allowing the tip of my finger to touch the 6th string to mute it, which is something that I often have to do, or often do when I'm playing bar chords where the root is on that 5th string. Otherwise we could have this open root against it, and that doesn't sound very good. So I'll just mute it, and I can kind of practice that here and let my index relax. I'm not actually doing a bar yet, though if you wanted to practice with just the bars, you could. It's going to sound like an interesting, really modern out there chord, but that's okay. If it's just a practice, you can do it with the full bar, getting the strength down first if you want to. But I usually start with my in-person students. We just worry about getting the root down. B flat, and then we would be up to the F, same thing, and then we got the B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. Now you want to make sure and use your index finger to do those, because we want to get used to the bar placement, really. We want to get used to having our bar finger lead out there and catch those, so that then we can throw the other notes in front of it. So I'm going to do that slower. You can play right along with me. We got 1, 2, ready. The progression goes B flat, up to E flat, B flat, then up to F, B flat, E flat, we got the A flat, back to B flat, and then we end there. So once I've got that, I could do another step. If you need help like working on the strength and the placement and the hand positioning, just worrying about the bar without the shape in front of it, you can do that same thing, just moving back and forth your bar between how you're going to position the 5 strings and the 6 strings. When I was first learning, I think a lot of us when we were first learning, we just barred over all 6 the whole time, even for the 5th string forms. And if you want to do that, that's okay. You are probably going to catch that low 6th string, which will be the 5th of the chord in the low end there. But if that's where you're comfortable at first, do it. And then as you gain more control, you can ditch that 6th string from being pressed down to being muted. Once I've got the notes down, now I need the shapes. Now we're doing all major chord shapes here, so we can get used to this. So we got the E major shape that's going to go in front of the B flat and A flat chords, because those roots are on our 6th strings. So we put our B flat shape in front of our E chord shape from first position in front of that, and we now have a B flat, and then when we're barring in that 4th fret, we have the A flat. For the E flat and the F, we're going to put the A chord shapes in front of it, because our root is on that 5th string. So you can finger it either way, whichever way you want, E flat and F. Once we've got that, we can go ahead and play this. I'm just using a down, down, up, down, up, sort of that universal strumming pattern we all learn when we're playing guitar. Now, I'm going to play through this, and we shall go for it. So we got 1, 2, ready, and we got B flat, E flat, E flat, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, B flat. You can do that sort of thing as much as you need to and as much as you'd like to. I want to point out one little fun thing that I'm kind of doing here. If I'm holding bar chords down just solid the whole time, I get extremely tired, and I don't necessarily love that sound. If I want that sound, where it sounds like almost like first position the entire time, then I tend to think it's just time to put a capo on and use the shapes in front of the capo instead of having my hand have to do that. But one of the great things with bar chords is that we can control how long each one of the strummed rhythms of the chord happen for. I can cut them off with a finger cutoff by relaxing my hand, allowing my thumb to still touch the back of the neck. My index bar is still touching the string, so are my fingers here. I'm just not pressing them down. So if I strum, they're muted. So if I relax just like that, it cuts the strings off from ringing. Creates more of a percussive sound that's really hard to do in first position. So I was playing down and then relaxing, down, relax. And I actually did the second down strum against the muted chords. And then I brought it in again for the up, and I released real quick, and then it up, down, up. So down, down, up, up, down, up. So I have this squeeze, 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 squeeze happening as I'm doing that strumming pattern, and that gives me a little bit of that percussive sound, which might interest you, and it also keeps my left hand from getting near as tired. So I get some of that percussive in there. That is something that I am doing as I'm playing this. Now, we worked just with the major chord. Why don't we go ahead and do the same thing and pretend that it was written up here that each one of these was minor. So you can put the minor shapes in front of it. So now we have B flat minor and A flat minor. We have E flat minor and F minor. So in doing this, we'd go 1, 2, ready, and B flat minor, E flat minor, B flat minor, F minor, E flat minor, flat minor, A flat minor, and B flat minor. Now let's go ahead and put the dominant seventh shapes in front of it. So pretend we have B flat 7, E flat 7, A flat 7, F 7. So B flat 7, we have the E7 shape in front of that. Same thing for the A flat 7, because the root is on the 6th string. And then E flat 7 and F 7, I put the A7 shape in front of the bar, because our root is on the 5th string. We get these shapes. The low 6th string is an open E, so the E chord shapes work great. The A chord shapes work great off the 5th string, so that's there. Okay, so we'll play through this. You got 1, 2, ready, and we got B flat 7, E flat 7, B flat 7, F 7, B flat 7, E flat 7, A flat 7, and B flat 7. So with that bit of an introduction, you should have an idea on how to play any of these chords anywhere along the neck to create any tonal version of any of them. So 12 of each one. Some, of course, there's more than one enharmonic name. So A sharp 7 and B sharp and B flat 7 would be the same, for example. And there are an option for each one of the 12 tonal centers for each one of these chords along the neck. Some of them you might get higher or lower than we want to, so sometimes between frets 3 and 10 there's only one good option, but for most of them there are a couple options, and for all of them along the entire fretboard there are more than one option. So hope that really helps. In the next Technique Tuesday lesson, we're going to look at some other shapes that can be used to create bar chords. So these are the most foundational, fundamental, the ones that are used the most often shapes, these E chord shapes and A chord shapes, but we can also look at the other shapes that exist. We're going to do that in the next Technique Tuesday lesson. So enjoy, take care, we'll see you here, and of course we've got other lessons happening on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays right now. Jazz series is coming out, so jazz lessons on jazz guitar. Theory Thursday, love Theory Thursday, fretboard theory and music theory in general. On Saturdays, we still have some some lessons coming from the strumming course. So lots of cool strumming patterns happening there, and that's what we have coming out new right now. And of course, there's many, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other lessons already that have already come out and are available on the channel. So have fun, take care, keep at it, and we'll see you again. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For more in-depth lessons and to progress through a free guitar course, check out my Guitar 101 series on YouTube and my Guitar Method books, which all come with access to hours of in-depth video lessons. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care.